Okay, well, I am Sarah. I'm with Shoebox. I am a marketing manager for them. And my background is actually, I am from the States. I started with Citrix in a startup that was then acquired by Citrix on a sales team. And in that time, we actually expanded massively and switching into different verticals, markets, etc. So I had a ton of experience going from accountants and bookkeepers all the way to construction teams. So my goal today is to go over basically the best ways to get into new markets and understanding how you're selling to them and the best ways of actually getting people to listen to what you have to say. So well, the formatting is kind of ugly. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm describing old dogs as your target market. Whether you're competing against direct competitors or an existing workflow, opportunity cost, etc., you have to convince someone to use your product, and unless you're coming up with the most unheard of idea ever, there's usually something that someone has in place already. So, for example, if you are transferring a file, you can email it. If it's too large, you would put it on a USB disk, or back in the day, a floppy disk, and then you send it to someone, they take it off, that kind of thing. And then Dropbox came around, and everyone was like, oh, this is so great, perfect. And then it just completely changed the way how file transfer worked. Beyond just managing a server, FTP, that kind of thing. New tricks I'm describing as the purchase and use of your innovative or improved product. And this is a really crucial line because just because someone purchases something doesn't mean they'll use it. And if they don't use it, they will probably not tell their friends, they'll not spread the word, they won't be a long lifespan as a customer. And then innovative and improved is actually a different way of selling to someone. So, for example, if you have an innovative product, you have to do a lot more educating for your market. So, because you're doing something completely different to how they're normally doing it. So, you're actually establishing the market and you are creating a presence there and getting people aware of what's going on. You also have to conquer a lot more fears in your market and hesitations so you have to sell beyond that. For improved markets, it actually is less education, but you have more competition or faster moving competition. So if there's something else out there, you're just improving upon it, those people or companies' products can also adapt to how you are changing the market scene. Okay, so the fundamentals of selling, I describe as features, benefits, and sizzle. So features are the backbone of your product. It's what your product actually does on a basic back end, front end, how it interacts with your customer kind of level. Benefits are how it obviously benefits them. So for bacon, for example, since it's up there, the feature is that it is protein. You eat it, it's healthy, not really. Benefits are you feel good after eating it, etc. But you sell someone on sizzle. So you can talk about bacon and you're like, oh yeah, I like bacon. But you win someone over when they can hear it sizzling and they can smell it. So when you're selling to someone, you have to approach it in a way that you are dazzling them in a beyond a features and benefits way. You have to sell them on the idea of this is great. You need to arouse their senses, and this is why it's great because other people are saying this, or we won this award. And even though they can be arbitrary things, it just cements the fact that they want your product because they have some aroused sense from it. Building value. Basically, if you build enough value, you can pretty much conquer anything with any customer. You need to know as much as possible about your product and who you're talking to. So if you understand that you're talking to an accountant or bookkeeper and you know their pain points, you can build the value beyond of just, oh, I have this cool product that manages receipts and invoices. Because you know that it takes them hours and hours of time to actually data enter and deal with those and then code it, and they do the same thing each month with the same suppliers, and it just gets monotonous, and then their clients get mad because they charge they charge it each month. Anyway, If you can sit there and say, I can do this, then, and they hate that pain point so much, they're going to come to you and say, I don't care what the price is, let's make it happen. So value and price have no correspondence, because if you can sell something on benefits and sizzle, then it doesn't matter on anything else. The difference is you obviously have to have a product that backs it up. So features are still important. Now, if you're choosing a market, you need to obviously, now that you have like the selling idea going, you need to figure out who it's best for or how to start and switch beyond the verticals. So I kind of went with like a little punny thing, so bear with me. For size, I am describing it as either the market. If you're going for a big market, you can do either B2B, B2C. Are you trying to go for everybody? Or are you a or are you going for client size? You can either go for the big dogs, like if you're trying to sell to Telstra, or if you're trying to sell to a three-man team kind of thing. Grooming, I'm describing it as cost of acquisition, the time it takes for you to actually win these people over, what you had to do to get there, to get them as a customer. Aggressiveness, temperament, I have alternatives, competition, opportunity costs. What is going on with your potential customers that you are competing against or fighting to win them over from? Activity level, I have as passive users or how hands-on they are with your product. So really it just depends on what you're trying to sell them. Trainability and is getting your target up and running and trained. Are you selling to an IT person who's more technical, who needs to know every single detail about every security feature that you have? Or are you selling to a secretary that just wants the easiest option possible? So you have to understand the best person to actually target within an industry vertical and who the decision maker, so that actually can change depending on what companies you're going after. Sociability, industry leaders are crucial because they actually get you beyond, they get your word out there. So if you can win an industry leader over, you can get a lot of other people over as well, more customers. Smaller markets have more niche resources. So they actually might have more sociability within a niche. So everyone's friends with everyone if the market's only 10 beekeepers in New South Wales kind of thing. And then longevity and lifespan. How long is your relationship with your customers? What are you looking to? Are you a SaaS product or are you something like a one-off, like we just deal with it once kind of thing? Okay, so when you're educating new markets, these are probably the most crucial things to actually tap on when you're dealing with people. You need to conquer their fears and their no's, because that's the hardest thing when you're talking with people that don't want to listen to you or already think that they have something in place that's already better than what you're trying to sell them. You need to harp on their pain points and you need to talk about their inefficiencies and workflow, because if you are hiring extra staff to do something, or if it's taking you more time, if you're mailing a flash drive or a hard drive or something across the world, that takes time. How easy is your product to actually establish into their workflow? Do you understand their workflow? Do you know how that industry works on a ground-based level? What products are already out there that you can integrate with? So Shoebox, for example, you don't necessarily need to know what we do, but if we as a product were just an archive of documents and couldn't export or do anything or go across anywhere, well then what's the point? So you just have this online thing of what you had a pile of over there. Doesn't matter. But since you can add exports, you can integrate with people's current workflows, it totally changes how the product can be conceived within that person's mind. So this is the diffusion model, which I'm pretty sure everyone's already seen. So the reason why I have it up there is everyone on the left, I'm considering like niche users. They're leaders. They're people who are enthusiastic. They're usually actively searching for a solution. They're much more engaged as well. Everyone I have on the right, I'm describing as the rest of the market. They're usually harder to sell to, or they need a little bit more influence from other places. The difference is this chasm that I have in the center, and that is one of the biggest things to overcome. And actually, when I was researching this, I thought I came up with this idea, and then it turns out someone already did. So I was two, doesn't count. Um, anyway, so the biggest thing about this chasm is that it's the biggest hump to jump over to get to the rest of the market. Now, if you actually want to get over this chasm, it's all about getting everything in line, getting your ducks in a row. You need to have the features, benefits, and sizzle in place. So you need to engage with your customer base. You need to know what they're doing. You need to talk to them. You need to ask questions. You need to persist. You need to keep trying, ask more questions, get beyond just the trivial level. And you need to respect their time, wishes, confidentiality. When I was with Citrix, when I was selling ShareFile, which is a large and secure file transfer, and you'd have to talk to people, and I'd be like, so how do you transfer files? And I never really thought about it, but one time someone was like, I don't want to tell you how I transfer files because then you can intercept them or do whatever. That's confidential. I was like, I ask everyone that question. So you kind of have to go about it a different way. So obviously each person is different. Every market's different depending on what your product is, but you just need to respect what they're asking. Um, and so you need to look at your trends. You need to question what's going on. What is most commonly said by when you're talking with these people and you're asking these questions? Are you giving them what they want, or are they asking for something different? You need to give them what they want in a way, because a lot of times companies and products make the mistake of thinking they know what people want, but they end up making something, or maybe they're trying to sell to a market and then that market actually is not that interested, but it turns out they've got a whole bunch of Chinese silk traders who are all about this product. That requires adjusting your market and switching verticals and going beyond just what you think you want to do or where you want to be, because your product should adapt with your market, or else you're just going to be putting a square peg in a round hole kind of thing. And adapting is probably the most crucial here. If people want small changes, or if they have small problems, make a small change. If there's big problems, make big changes. You don't want to make mountains out of molehills, and you want to be able to be flexible and work with people and go beyond just what you think you want. You need to actually engage and get with people and talk with them, listen to what they're saying, and then bring it overall into an adapting process. And if you don't have any problems and everyone's happy, then you need to keep innovating and testing, because that's what's really important. Because just because they don't necessarily know what they want, you might be able to throw in a little feature here and there, see how people like it. If they don't like it, get rid of it. Don't waste your time. Maybe it's something they're like, oh, great, that is awesome. I really love that feature. That adding that feature can also change and add into another vertical. That can get you into a new industry. So once you get solid in one industry, adding a few features might actually make you relevant to another. If you increase your security, you can automatically be relevant in, say, the medical world if you're handling medical records. It's just a matter of how you want to do it, ease of implementation, and what your people are asking, and how your system works to go beyond that. And so the next is, once you get through all of that and you get over the chasm, a lot of it is let them come to you. You are, at this point, you have spoken with industry people, you've gotten through it, you've had PR, you've been talking to enough people to understand the workflow. You can call in and say, oh, are you using this product too? Great, we integrate with that. I understand that a lot of people like you do this, this, and that. And then they say, yes, I have those problems too. Trigger it. And then they're like, okay, I'm definitely interested. Or, oh, I've heard of your product. I am kind of interested, but yeah, we'll see. That's a step in the door. The chasm is the biggest part. And once you get beyond that, you can just hustle. Once you hustle, you're there. And to follow up, I'm going to go with the sizzle. It's all about the sizzle. Just get there. Have people talk about you. Find endorsers. Get awards. Apply for things. Just, even if you're writing articles and sending them to blogs, be like, will you feature this? Then you have something on your blog, and then you get a little bit of PR out of it. Understand who you're talking to, what you're trying to sell, and everything about their process, their hesitations, their lingo, their workflows, who makes the decisions for these companies based on the size of them, etc. And know the best way to sell them. Because, for example, ShareFile was, like I said, large secure file transfer. If I was selling it to an accountant, I would say, do you use QuickBook files? And do you transfer them on hard drives, USBs? And they say yes. If I was talking to someone in the architecture engineering, I say, do you have someone managing an FTP? No accountant's going to know what an FTP is or manage it themselves. I shouldn't say no accountant, but it's way more of a hassle. So it's all about understanding who you're talking to and put it in their words so that they understand what you're trying to do. And then the hustle, and then the tweak I have for adaptation. You can always make it better. Once you start adding features, that's when you can start differentiating from your different markets. When you go into different verticals, it's back again to understanding. Going to different industries, there's variations, and different verticals have different regulations, etc. And I went through that really fast. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now, or we can be downstairs for you, and I'm happy to answer any of them there. With this, yeah, ShareFile. I was with them a year and a half ago, so I left them, and now I'm with Shoebox. When we started with ShareFile, we were basically in the accounting and bookkeeping industry. We pretty much rock solid owned that one. We were with the Slater Group as one of our biggest endorsers, and we pretty much would call into accounting firms, and they would know who we are, and they would say, "Oh yeah, we'll sign up for a demo. Oh, I definitely needed to look into that. We'll get there." Um, Beyond that, like once you're hitting a saturation point, you need to go beyond that. So that's when we branched into the AEC industry and insurance industry, the medical industry, et cetera. And what we would do is we'd have teams research and go into each vertical and talk with people. We go to different groups, pretty much interviewed like between 50 and 100 different people in different industry like sizes based on like what's going on, what we're trying to sell. So insurance is easy because if you are selling medical insurance, all your documents are like they need to be under, it's called HIPAA compliance in the States. Sorry. Um, and they needed to be secure, encrypted, etc. And so we would just be like, "Oh, what are you using right now?" And people would say Dropbox, and we say, "Oh, you're actually out of regulation. This is what you need for HIPAA compliance, and this is what we have. Would you like to see a demo?" Kind of a thing. Um, for engineering, it was actually we harped more on the large file transfer as opposed to secure. And we would just say, "Wouldn't you like to email a 10 gig file?" And they would say, "That's laughable. We manage an FTP. It's fine. We don't need that." And it's like, well, this is a cloud-based FTP that you don't actually have to manage. You don't have to bother with servers, etc. You wouldn't necessarily have that same discussion as you would in different verticals. So it's a matter of who you're talking to. The bigger the firm, you're more likely talking to an IT person. They'll have a technology department. The smaller the firm, you're talking to the boss or sole practitioner. And then they tend to be a little bit more technical, but a lot of times a little bit of knowledge can do a lot of damage as well. So you're educating people on an individual basis as in addition to market. So it really just depends on who you're speaking with. So each customer needs to be treated different, but with the same encompassing concept. If that makes sense. Did we reach profitability? I'm sorry. We just reached it quickly. Actually, I'm not sure when they reached it, but I know that they were because I was joined right before they were acquired. So they had been, I believe, up and running for 3 years. So they gained market traction very quickly. Is that it? Anyone else? Okay. Thanks, guys. I'll be downstairs if you need me.